Hi, I'm Allie. Join me as I show you how to do this dark side of the moon bracelet. It's going to be featuring right angle weave connecting different forms and creating a connection between that right angle weave that may not be the exact same number of beads. You can gather materials for this in the description. There's a little drop down that says show more, and that'll get you links back to our website. This is also one of our retreat projects from 2025. They had a great time making it at the retreat, and I hope you will as well too. So to start this design, we are going to be creating a base and embellishing along the top of the base. We're going from a O basically to an oval, circle to oval, circle to oval as we go through the design. We're using 8s, 11s, and then 15s for embellishment. 8s and 11s for our base, 15 for embellishments, and then I have two sizes of Montes. I have the SS12s for the smaller ovals, and then go in bold for the SS20s for the bigger circles. You don't have to do that. You can do all the same smaller size if you want your seed beads to stick out. I have some size 6 green dragon thread here. And the first thing I'm going to do, just because we have the opportunity to start it off without adding the clasp, I'm going to add just a stop bead. This is going to come off the project and not be included. The first thing we're going to do is create a right angle weave circle. It's going to consist of 1 bead for the bottom, 2 beads for the right, 3 beads for the top, and 2 beads for the left. I'm going to let that drop down next to that stop bead and do a traditional right angle weave unit. I'm going to go through the first bead, which is going to be that bottom bead, that's 1. I'm going to go through the right side, which is 2. I'm going to go through the top, which is 3. And then I'm going to come down through the 2 beads that would be on the right side. 1 bead at the bottom, 2 beads on the right, 2 beads on the left, 3 at the top. What this is going to do is create a circle because we have more beads on the outside than we do on the inside. The right angle weave next is going to be 1 bead for the bottom, 2 for the right, 3 for the top. Come down through the 2 beads that were the right side of the last unit, and now we're going to be the left of the new one. We're going to do a total of 10 units, 9 before we start to add them together. I'm going to go through my bottom 1 bead, then continue the right angle weave. I'm going to go through the side 2 beads. Nice tight pull. And again, now we're at the top. We need our top 3 beads. We need our right 2 beads, and we need our bottom bead. Go up through the 2 beads that your thread were just coming out of, and that's going to create our 3rd unit. Our 3rd unit, again, is going to be 3 out of, sorry, I'm getting my thread tangled, 3 out of 9. From here, I'm going to go through the top 3 beads, which are the top of my right angle unit. And then I'm going to go down through the 2 beads on the right-hand side and let that sit. See how that's starting to curve? You're going to continue doing 1 on the bottom, 2 to the right, 3 to the top of your right angle unit, and down. Again, we want to get a total of 9 of these units through the bottom and then always out through the 2 on the right. Whether or not that's to the top or the bottom, that'll change with each time you do the right angle weave. So right here, it's on the top of those 2 beads. I'm adding my beads for the next right angle unit. I'm going to go back through those 2 beads coming from the bottom, through the top 3 beads, and then once again, exiting the right side, down through the 2 beads. Add the beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. I want 9 units, and then we're going to add with the 10th unit together to make our circle. Do you want to get half-price kits every month? With the monthly kit subscription, you'll get 3 new kits for only $59.99, including free shipping. And you can pause or cancel your subscription at any time. And this month, new subscribers get an additional free kit as a welcome gift. Visit PotomacBeads.com/subscribe or click on the link in the description. So we're at the end of the 9th unit, and what we need to do is we need to bring this together for that 10th unit. Together for the 10th unit, I'm coming out the bottom of the last 2 or the right side beads of the last unit. I'm going to connect to the first unit, adding 1 bead for the bottom. Then I'm going to go over to this first unit and connect to the 2 beads that were going to be for the right. That's going to bring our circle together. And then to close this up, we're going to do 1, 2, and 3 beads for the top, back down through the 2 beads that our thread were originally coming out of, and that finishes out our right angle unit. So this finishes out that design. I'm going to reinforce that last unit that I just did coming up and out through the top. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. If you want to, you can embellish as you work, or you can continue to build the whole base. I'm going to embellish as I work so I can show you how to do that embellishment as part of the design. That being said, you can always build just the base of the design and then embellish after. To continue the design, we are going to go through the 3 beads that sit at the top of that wheel unit. So remember, there's always 3 beads at the top of each one of our units. Because I'm doing the rounded unit here, I'm going to use my bigger of my crystals. Getting those crystals out then, you're going to notice that these have a silver bead to the side of them. Do you need the silver bead? No, but you can use it. It's kind of up to you. I'm going to use it. I'm using a 15-0 in silver. I'm going to pick up my first of my Montes. The Montes have a crossback section we're going through on a diagonal. Another one of my 11-0s. And now when you look at the right angle unit that your thread is coming out of, you're coming out here of the top right. We're going to go into the bottom left. What that's going to do is sit us on an angle, and make sure you're not going through that stop bead because we will take that off eventually. What that's going to do is put that Monte on an angle. You're going to push that down so that sits flat. Add a 15. Sew through the other way of the Monte. Remember, it's that crossback section. It's hard to see though because it's face down now. Add another 15 and sew back through those same 3 beads that your thread was originally coming out of. That is your first embellishment. I just look and kind of make sure it's sitting right and that I don't see a lot of extra thread. Then we're going to add 1 more 8-0 seed bead. What that's going to do is close in the top here. You're going to go sew through the next 3 beads. And then we're going to embellish the exact same way. If you want to, you can do 8s or 11s here in the top. If you want it to sit down a little bit, you can do the 11s. If you want it to stand out a tiny bit, you can do the 8s. I'm actually going to switch it back out to the 11s because I like when it sits recessed a little bit. So stick an 11 in there. And now go back through those next 3 beads. See how it kind of sits recessed in there. 11 or 15 goes on, your next Monte, 15. Go down to the bottom of that same unit that your thread is currently coming out of through the opposite direction. Make sure the Monte sits so it is face up like that. 15-0 goes on into the Monte in that cross section. 15-0 goes on through those 3 beads that sit at the top of the unit and out. Add an 11, do the next one. So we're going to do this the whole way around. I have 2 added. And I have 10 units total, so 8 more to go. So finishing up here, you can see my first of my circles here, so my first moon. And I'm going in and completing this Monte. And then what we're going to do actually is secure the center. So just like we went around the outer edge here and added in 11-0 seed beads, speaking of which, I'm going to do my last one here, going back through those first 3 beads. And then after those first 3 beads, I'm going to go out. We're going to take a trip to the interior. In the interior, I'm going to flip it over so you can see how there's a gap between all of those bottom of the right angle units. We're going to come down the side, which is right next to our stop bead. I'm going to go to the left or the right. It honestly doesn't matter. Through one of the first bottom beads, pick up an 8, sew through the next bottom bead of the right angle unit. So we're closing up just that gap. As you can see, it almost sits like a Peyote-Style with that bead sticking out, space in between, close it up, sewing in 1 8-0 seed bead between each of those bottom units. As you go around and sew in those additional 9 beads, since we have 10 units, you're going to sew between them. we are going to then get to the outer edge afterwards of our unit. We're going to start the oval from that outer edge. And here I'm just making sure too, as I go around, that my thread does not get twisted at all. I'm pulling pretty nice and tight because I want that center unit to be really nice and together. And you'll notice as you're doing this, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay, perfect. This stiffens it up. Make sure that you're not going through that stop bead, because remember that stop bead has to come out. I need one more 8/0 bead here. And then we're gonna get ready to do our oval connection on the side. Now, if you've never done right angle weave before and you're struggling a little bit, this is one of the retreat projects from our 2025 retreat. You can, if you want to, tie off your thread end right there and just make your circles. Make all of your circles independently and then connect them together once you're done all your circles with your ovals. That is 100% doable. So just your circles and then do the connection of the ovals. We're going to go right away and do our oval connection here into another round. So I'm out this side here and I want to come out through one of my groups of 3 seed beads at the top. It doesn't matter which group, but what we're going to do is we're going to connect to a rightmost Montee, leave a space, connect to a rightmost Montee. So you can see you leave that one there and we're going to connect. On the original loop, we did 1 at the bottom, 2 on the right and the left, and then 3 at the top. On the side loop to create the oval, we're going to do 1 at the bottom, 3 on the right and left, and 2 at the top. We're going to come back then and do 2 11/0s as the connectors and smaller Montes. So to begin, I'm going to go in here and I'm coming out the side of those 3 beads. I'm going to go 2 beads for the top, 1, 2, 3 beads for the side, 1 bead for the bottom. Go back through those 3 beads, which were the top of the round Montee, which are going to be the left side of this next loop. From here, go through the top 2 beads, and then we're going to come down the side through the 3 beads, because remember this center unit has 3 on the right and the left, 1 at the bottom, and 2 at the top. While we're here, we're going to do 1 more bottom bead, 3 on the right hand side, and then 2 to the top, and do another right angle unit. Coming down here, that completes that right angle row. And then once again, we need to get over to the right hand side of that right angle unit through the bottom and out through the 3 on the right hand side. That'll leave us 2 at the top, and then we'll get ready to do our next unit. Once you have a second one done here, we're going to do the third one because we're doing a total here of 3 sections, which the third one is actually going to be part of the next circle as well. So we're going to do 1 and 2 beads at the top, 1, 2, 3 beads going down the right side, 1 bead for the bottom, and then once again up through the 3 beads along the side. Nice tight pull, and that gets that one finished for you. Now, when you're doing this along the top here, I like to go down to the top, and we're going to go down through the 3 along the side and out just like we would be continuing to do rather. Now you can go, if you want to, back through the project and down and then create your next link before going in and creating your circles. I'm going to recommend that just for the ease of it. So you're going to go back through your right angle weave. Once you learn how to do this all, you can continue right on to the circle and then do the bottom section separate. But I think it's easier to learn how to do those 2 arches and then make your next round circle. Go down through the side, down through the end here. And then we're going back into the right angle weave of the one that you've already established. Now we do need to go in and create the embellishment on this. You can do that now or you can do it after. We're going to do it after so you can see those lines. Now I'm going to work down the right angle weave here, and we're going to go to the section that is 2 back from here. 1 and 2. Up towards the top. And then we're going to skip over the middle here and go toward the end and come on out. There we go. So we have our section here where we have our little arch. We have one open right angle weave, and now we're going to do the arch on the bottom. So again, those 3 sections of our right angle weave. We're getting more 8/0s out. And we're going to start with our 2 for the top, 3 for the right, and 1 for the bottom. So back into those 3 beads that are currently coming out of, and then up and along the top. Through the top 2, and out through the right-hand side, which is going to be that group of 3. Once again, 1 for the bottom, 3 for the sides, 2 for the top. Create those next right angle unit. Go down through the 1 bead at the bottom of your right angle unit and up through the 3 beads that are going to sit on the side. I've got 1 more unit to do. 2 to the top, 3 to the right, 1 to the bottom. Up through the bottom here, and then over across the top. And that's it. So those are our 3 arching units that are going to connect here along the side. Those units connect to the next circle. Now where they connect to the next circle is we already have this line here. So if you are doing the fact that you're making each circle independently, you're going to want to finish each circle. And then as you come out, you're linking it already. That most right-hand side is going to link onto here. What I'm going to do is start my next circle so I can show you guys how to do so. We're going to embellish this one after we do our next circle. So coming down the side here, we're going to go in and get ready to create our next circle. This is the hardest part, and this is why I said that if you are going in and you're having a little bit of trouble, go ahead in and finish your next circles and then just connect them. We're going to create our next circle. Now, in this section here, we did 3 on the sides, which is going to become our first right angle unit. I'm going to go in here and do 2 for the sides, 1 for the bottom, 2 for the sides. Going through those 3 beads that are on the right, I want you to turn it in your hand because that's going to start that next circle. Go down through the 2 beads on the side. There, I've got to add some more thread. We're going to go down through the 2 beads on the side, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to go up and start our circle. Coming out, what looks like the 4th one of the arch there, that's the first one of your next section. So remember we had 3 that were along the side on the side rows. Here along the round sections like we did previously, we're doing those as 2 high on the sides and 3 wide. So here we're going to do that middle one that sits across. We do 1 bead for the bottom, 1, 2 for the sides, and 1, 2, and 3 for the top. We're going to go down through the beads that are on the left-hand side. And that creates our next right angle unit. Through bead number 1, that's going to be at the bottom. Beads number 2 and 3 there that are the right-hand side. Now, as we go into the next one, we're going to connect to the top arch that's already there. Going through the first 3 beads, which were the side of the arch, and are now going to be the top of the next unit. From here, we're going to go down the sides, 1 and 2, and then 1 bead to connect at the bottom. Going back over then to the 2 beads that your thread were originally coming out of, through the top as well, and then down through the 2 beads along the side. Nice tight pull. And now you have 1, 2, and 3 units out of the 10 that you need to do on your next circle. So I'm going to continue doing 1 and for the bottom, 2 for the sides, 3 for the top, and then back in to complete this right angle unit. This is the trickiest part, is getting that arch connected. And that's why I said if you need to do it independently, that's okay. Once you're out the side here, you're continuing on just like you did previously. 3 beads for the top, 2 for the sides, 1 for the bottom, and into the 2 beads that sit on the right-hand side that your thread is currently coming out of. Getting over to the right, we're going to go through the top 3 beads, down the 2 beads on the right, and a nice tight pull. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. I need 4 more units. And then after those 4 units, we're going to be able to combine it to unit number 1. So keep going, building in more units to get that to arch around to create your next circle. As you create your 9th right angle weave unit here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you'll start to see it arching again towards that circle. I'm coming out the side 2 beads. I'm going to grab 1 bead for the bottom because I'm coming out the bottom. I'm going to go over to the first unit and go through the 2 beads that are on the side, which is going to join with this unit, and then 1, 2, 3 beads for the top. As I go the 3 beads for the top, then I'm going to come down the other side of that right angle unit and close up that circle. From here, I'm going to go into the bottom of that right angle weave unit, the same one my thread is coming off, out, back up through the top here, and then nice tight pull along the side 3. So we're getting back to the top outer edge here, so we can go in and we can add our crystals. As I go in and add the crystals, remember we're doing 15s on each side and then an 11-0 as we pick up between. Once we come back around to complete the crystal, that's where we'll jump in and we'll do the archways with a smaller crystal after completing the second circle. Once you have on 7 crystals here, you have 3 more to go, but you're back at the start. I'm going to add 1 11-0 and go over still just regular to complete that circle. In the middle here, still add your 11-0 and still add it on the sides as well. After you're done adding your last Monte in, don't forget that you're going to close up that loop, so you still need 1 more 11-0 to go there. After you close up the loop and go into the 3 beads of that first right angle unit, we're going to go in and reinforce that center just like we did on the first one. After doing so, then we're going to go back and embellish those little bridges or arches that got us over to the next one. So going down through the center here, we're going to go in towards the interior, flipping it over, and once again going through and doing our single bead in between the bottom of all of the units. After we're done, the bottom here, again, we're going to get to the outer unit, and then we're going to do the embellishments on our arches. So now that we've gone the whole way along the bottom and reinforced that, and remember we already reinforced and closed the circle with the 11-0 on the loops, I'm going back toward the arches. So just back through the right angle weave and back in towards the arch. When you get to the arch, it's going to be the exact same thing that we're just doing. We're just going to switch it to a smaller bead. Instead of 3 on the top, we are going to have 2. We're kind of looking at it this way. And we're going to have 2 beads there on the top, and we're still going into the corners. Picking up the SS12s right here. We're still doing a 15-0 before and after. Picking up that smaller Monte. Now the smaller Monte will sit a little bit recessed, and that is why if you want to see more of the black, you can do that smaller Monte the whole project. Going in here then, we'd go cross and 11 or 15 rather, and then back into that corner. Now when we're at the top here, instead of 1 11-0 like we did on the sides, we're going to do 2 of our 11-0s and into the next one. Same thing here though, 15 Monte, 15 across to the bottom, back up through the top, crossing over, adding my 15 and smaller Monte. The smaller Montes have a tighter bottom, so sometimes you just kind of have to look a bit more than the bottom here. Nice tight pull to get that into that corner. 15 on, into those top 2. 1 and 2 of our 11-0s go on. I'm going to add my last of my Monte here to this side. Now to get to the other side, I'm just going to weave through the right angle weave, decorate the other side, and then we're going to get ready to come out through one of the circles on the outer edge. It honestly doesn't matter which way we're going. We're going to come out through the circle on the outer edge, and we're going to do our next arch. It's really, really simple once you get the geometry of it, that you're creating the round circles, and then you're just connecting them with those bridges or the arches. Once you have the 15 on, make sure your Monte is facing correctly through the Monte. Nice tight pull, making sure when you're going through the Montes that you're not connecting on to any of the prongs. 15 goes on and through those top 2. Now, sew through the units. I flip it over backwards because it's easier to look at. Sew through the units all the way around the edge here, straight down that outer circle, straight to the top, and out through those top 2 beads. And now we're flipped, and we're ready to create on those top 2. Again, once you're done with that arch here, you can see I finished the Montes getting added in there. I'm just going to flip it over, just like we did on the other side, back through those center beads that all line up in a circle from the outer edge. And I'm just going to go through that outer edge until I get to this section here that is going to be where my next arches go. So going through this outer edge, beads go on and through, and now I come out through that one that is going to be the first area that I put the bridge on. How do I tell? You're going to look directly across from the Monte and look at the one that sits one up. From here, gather up some more of your 8/0 seed beads and start your arches. When you start your arches, 1 for the bottom, 3 for the sides, 2 for the top, and back down the 3 beads that your thread was currently coming out of. When you come back down through those beads, we go up through 1 and 2 along the sides here, and that's it. From here then, you're going to, 3 along the side, 1 at the bottom and 3 along the sides. You should have 2 open at the top. From here, you're going to do your next one, 1, 2 for the top, 1, 2, 3 for the sides, and 1 for the bottom. Connect, and there you go. Now, if you are building the circles independently because you don't want to deal with doing the arches until after the fact, here is how you're going to add them together. I'm coming down through the 3 beads along the side of my second arch, and I'm going to go to my last loop here, and I'm going to connect these 2 together. Coming out the bottom, I add 1 bead here. I'm going to go over and find my match. So up through the 3 beads on the opposite loop, again, just lining them up. 2 beads for the top, and so down through the 3 beads on the left-hand side there. Nice tight pull. And now look, you've just added those circles together. Sew down along the project, make your next bridge, and then go in and add in your Montes. When you are creating and making, I just want to show a variation that you can do. So here on the interior of the archways, there's the option to also do the 2 11/0 seed beads between those bottom 3 units, or you can keep it open. When you close it, you can see you get a little bit more of that oval perspective. When you keep it open, you get a little bit more of the round perspective. So neither is right or wrong. It's just that you can do the 2 different styles. Once you're done your bracelet, and just to show you how it looks on, super fancy, you're going to add your clasp. To add the clasp, I have my starter thread back here at the beginning. I've tied off thread because I've added thread, taken thread off, and I'm just going to get thread down to the end and attach one of my sides of my clasp, taking this off here and getting a thread to come out right after those 3 beads there at the side of the Monte. We're going to do it on the same on both sides here. If your bracelet doesn't quite fit, you can also just add 1 more right angle unit and do a Monte section, or do another arch section as well too. So it's kind of easy to modify to get that fit. Go ahead and get your thread and needle to come out through one of the ends there of your bracelet, and we'll get ready to put on your clasp. Just to show how I'm adding on thread, I have the original thread there and that starter bead or stopper bead, and I'm taking it and I moved it back. I'm going to take a new piece of thread that I'm going to use to attach my clasps, and I tie it around the old piece of thread. Nice tight pull, and then giving a nice tight pull, I take that knot that's tied around this other piece of thread and pull that knot down towards the base of the project. What that does is get it nice and at the bottom here, and hopefully in between beads that you don't really see it. I'm then going to take those 2 thread ends and tie them together with a square knot. Also lately I've been having fun doing a sewer's knot, which is going in and taking it and going through once and twice through that same loop, looping it around, and that getting a really nice secure knot. Once that's done, I'm just gonna cut those ends down a little bit. They'll be able to hide in the back and you won't see them at all. Could have used my thread burner too, but the cutters were close. Now I'm gonna take my thread out and bring that threaded needle that I just did out to the side to add the clasp. So I'm going back through the project here. I'm just gonna run the interior row a little bit. And then I'm gonna pop out to the exterior. Usually when you pull, it'll pull the knot back into one of those locations. Going towards the exterior now, and it's easier to see those right angle units and everything when you're on the back. I'm gonna get over. You can use any clasp for this. If you're doing a multi-strand clasp, I would just kind of look and see where you're going to attach to, attaching maybe to the top or the sides like we did for the bridges. For this bottom one here, I'm just gonna do a single clasp, and I'm just using an infinite clasp. Coming out the side here, I'm gonna pick up my black 11-O's and do 1, 2, and 3 black 11-O's. Then I'm gonna go into my infinite clasp, making sure that the base here is sitting upward. So I'm gonna look and see kind of which way it's coming out of and make sure that it's sitting up. This has a soldered end. If you don't have a soldered end, wire guard is a great idea. After those 3 11s, 3 more 11s, and then we're basically creating another right angle unit coming on out here. If you needed to, you could have done this right angle unit and then another one as well to give a little bit of length. We're going to reinforce going back into those 3 beads across through the clasp, over to the 3 beads on the other side as well. And then back up through those 3 beads. I usually do this 3 times, going in and reinforcing. And then on the interior, I'm going to glue in my Crystal Labrador cabochon to give it a little extra bling. When I get to the other side, I'm going to put in the tongue side of the clasp. After doing so here, I'm going to flip the project over, go back through the project a little bit along the outer edge, then bringing it towards the interior and just tying off this extra thread here. Doing so then, go to the other side, put the other side of your clasp to complete. Once you get your clasp added to both ends, your dark side of the moon bracelet is finished. This is a great glam one that teaches you how to use the formations and right angle weave to get shapes that you want, and also how to connect right angle weave when you're doing different size units. So I hope you guys post your photos of your versions in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Thanks so much for joining me in creating this fun dark side of the moon bracelet. Remember, there's lots of different styles that you can do with different size Montes, as well as different connection lengths and beads also. Keep in mind that you don't have to use Montes. You can also just use regular crystals for those X's if you don't want the Montee connection as well. If you do need any of the materials that were used in this video, look below the video in the description to get links to get back to our website. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.